Rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders says he will not drive cars anymore after his multiple speeding accidents this month. I don't drive no more. No more.
You know, when you're young, when you're 21, 22, 23, you have a need for speed. And the type of cars that they get are Challengers, Hellcats, Durangos, Scat Packs,
Track
all
Hawks.
that stuff. Yeah, Track Hawks. So, I mean, it's something that young folk do all the time, you know, and they just have to pick and choose when to do it and have a better understanding of your surroundings.
Shedeur Sanders' ticket controversy is still burning hot, and now Shannon Sharpe and Ocho have stepped into the conversation, dropping some jaw-dropping revelations and bold takes. In a recent podcast, Sharpe revealed something shocking. Shedeur has made the decision to no longer drive a vehicle after being booked twice by the police. The weight of this admission is undeniable, and it's sparked even more debate. Ocho, however, didn't hold back either, jumping in to say that at a young age, mistakes like these are almost expected, but what really stands out is Shedeur's willingness to take responsibility for his actions. Ocho even went as far as to say the media is blowing this whole thing way out of proportion.
Noon or night when he was stopped over, maybe he might have been trying to get to the stadium first. Maybe he wanted to make sure he got there at a certain time. Either way, his decision not to drive anymore, or have a driver, or have a Uber, whatever it may be, so he doesn't get any more tickets.
Ocho went on to praise Shedeur Sanders for staying composed throughout the entire situation, even going as far as to commend him for making the bold decision to not drive a vehicle again. According to Ocho, this move isn't just about avoiding future trouble. It's a strategic step for Shedeur to better himself and grow from the experience. Ocho emphasized that by taking responsibility and stepping back, Shedeur is effectively shielding himself from the glory hunters who are always on the lookout for any slip-up to use against him. It's a calculated act of maturity and self-control, one that's bound to turn the narrative around in his favor. And Ocho was right. Shedeur's way of accepting that he made a mistake truly shows just how mature he is. He stepped up and took full accountability for his actions. Unlike many who deflect blame or offer weak excuses, Shedeur faced the situation head-on, owning up to his mistake without hesitation. In a composed and mature statement, he acknowledged the seriousness of what happened, making it clear that he understood the responsibility that comes with being in the spotlight. He didn't try to downplay the incident or sweep it under the rug. He took full ownership. What's even more impressive is that he promised to learn from the experience, ensuring everyone that this kind of lapse in judgment wouldn't happen again. It's this level of responsibility that proves Shedeur is handling the pressure the right way.
He's talking about overall in life. You know, I made some wrong choices personally, and I got owned up to him. I made some, not great choices.
He's saying that because he's an accountable person.
I learned
from the real people.
I learned.
He's not. He don't be doing that.
I learned.
Standing beside him was one of his close friends, trying to defend Shedeur by reminding everyone that he's still just a kid and kids make mistakes. He emphasized that people are too quick to judge and that this one incident doesn't define who Shedeur is. In his view, it was just a minor slip-up that got blown way out of proportion. But Shedeur didn't hide behind those words. He calmly stepped up and admitted that he has made some wrong choices in life, and this was one of them. He made it clear that owning up to his mistakes is a crucial part of growing up, and now that he's recognized the misstep, he's focused on doing better. It's a level of maturity that goes beyond his years, and it shows that Shedeur isn't afraid to face the consequence and grow from them. Mangini, the former coach of the Cleveland Browns, wasn't having any of Colin Cowherd's dramatic claim that he was selling his stock in Shedeur Sanders over this minor incident. With a smirk, Mangini fired back, "You're selling stock over this? Really?" He didn't hold back, pointing out how shaky the quarterback situation is in Cleveland right now. According to Mangini, if anything, Shedeur Sanders is exactly what Cleveland needs: a young, talented, composed quarterback with a high ceiling. You think this speeding ticket is a red flag? For me, this is nothing, Mangini said. You don't throw away talent over a late-night traffic mistake. He made it clear that this moment wasn't even close to a deal-breaker, and as for the way Cowherd was spinning it, pure overreaction.
Would I sell my stock on it like you are? Not because of a couple speeding tickets, especially in light of the problems that Brown's quarterback room has had to deal with legally in the last few years. I mean, this is nothing. This is nothing.
Mangini's statements also put a spotlight on a pattern with Colin Cowherd, one that's becoming harder to ignore. He reminded everyone how, just a short time ago, Colin was blowing Shedeur's trumpet, praising him for every little move during OTAs. But now, after one minor misstep, Cowherd has completely flipped the script, suddenly calling Shedeur out as if this speeding ticket was a major problem. The hypocrisy is hard to ignore. Mangini, not one to let this slide, pointed out how quickly Cowherd changed his tune and suggested this isn't the first time Colin has had to eat his words when it comes to Shedeur Sanders.
Despite the fact that Shedeur Sanders had the fewest attempts, he was the most efficient and most productive with the fewest reps. So the quarterback tracker for those radio audience members, Flacco was 9 for 14 and a touchdown. Pickett, 9 for 16, no touchdown. Dylan Gabriel, 11 of 16, 2 touchdowns and a pick. And Sanders, 7 of 9, 3 touchdowns.
According to Colin, Shedeur had the poise, the mechanics, and the football IQ to be Cleveland's first-team quarterback. So how does someone go from being your #1 guy to a complete write-off over a single speeding ticket? Mary Kay Cabot, a longtime critic of Shedeur Sanders, wasted no time in coming down hard on him the moment the incident surfaced. Known for rarely acknowledging Shedeur's impressive on-field performances, Cabot immediately seized the opportunity to highlight his off-field misstep. Instead of offering any perspective or balance, she reinforced her ongoing narrative against Shedeur, focusing only on the negative. When her dual-faced policy became clearer, she quickly turned off the comments, likely to avoid any backlash from those defending Shedeur. What's more, she went a step further by pointing out the timing of the incident, 12:45 a.m., questioning what Shedeur was doing out that late during such a critical period in his development. In typical fashion, Cabot implied that this kind of behavior could jeopardize his place on the roster, especially with the growing competition and coaching staff demanding accountability both on and off the field. Mary Kay Cabot also found herself facing heavy backlash after she blew the entire incident out of proportion, labeling Shedeur Sanders as reckless and questioning his maturity. But things quickly spiraled in the other direction. Fans, and even former players, started digging into her own background, and what they found hit hard. People began pointing out her family's criminal record, accusing her of using a double standard when it came to judging others, especially young athletes like Shedeur. The criticism was brutal and relentless, with many calling out the hypocrisy of her commentary.
Speeding is one thing, but going 40 miles an hour over the speed limit, actually 41 miles an hour over the speed limit at 12:30 in the morning, when you're in the middle of a 4-way quarterback competition.
Despite the negative press, Shedeur's actions reflect a level of self-awareness and responsibility that many young athletes struggle to demonstrate. His decision to refrain from driving in the future shows a thoughtful approach to personal growth and avoiding future mistakes. His willingness to face criticism head-on without deflecting responsibility stands in stark contrast to the tendency of many public figures to downplay or evade accountability. Ultimately, the media's reaction to Shedeur's ticket is a microcosm of a broader issue in sports culture, where small mistakes are often blown out of proportion and used to create narratives about an athlete's future. The polarized reactions to this incident underscore the difficulty athletes face in managing public expectations and the relentless scrutiny they endure. Shedeur's ability to navigate this controversy with maturity suggests that he may be prepared to handle the pressures that come with his rising prominence in the sports world. But what do you think? Is the media blowing Shedeur Sanders' speeding ticket out of proportion, or is it a legitimate cause for concern? Should young athletes be held to higher standards because of their public status, or should they be allowed to make mistakes and learn from them without facing such intense scrutiny? How much responsibility do athletes have when it comes to managing their personal behavior? And where should the line be drawn between holding them accountable and giving them room to grow? With differing opinions from people like Sharp, Ocho, Cowherd, and Cabot, it's clear that the way we view these incidents can vary drastically. What's your take on how Shedeur handled the situation?